Hey everyone, welcome back to another explainer for the Further Wise podcast. Honestly, I'm so glad you're hanging out with us tonight. If you're into these kinds of deep dives, do me a huge favor and just take a quick second to hit that like button, subscribe, and maybe share this with a friend who loves geeking out on human psychology. Oh, and yeah, we gotta say hey to my little co-host over there, Hakeem the Owl, looking very distinguished tonight, perched on his torn paper rocky ledge. He's totally ready to absorb some wisdom, and I'm hoping you are too. All right, let's just dive right into the whole shebang. Seriously, just pull up a chair and let's think about this for a second. Have you ever noticed how, certain people can just walk into a room and instantly disarm our natural suspicion? Like, without saying a single word, they just kind of radiate this aura of safety and competence. We barely even know them, yet our brains instinctively just categorize them in the good person column. Why do we do that? Why are we wired to just hand over our trust so easily, usually way before a person has actually done anything to earn it? Well, the answer really comes down to how we process information, which brings us to Section 1, Society's Real-Life Blue Checkmarks. So think about the concept of a proxy virtue. It's kind of like a social credit score or, honestly, like those real-life blue verification checkmarks on social media. Society is massive, it's complicated, and just for the sake of efficiency and basic social cohesion, we rely heavily on shorthand signals to judge people quickly. I mean, we literally do not have the time or the energy to run a deep background psychological evaluation on every single new person we meet, right? So we look for these low-effort, supposedly high-reliability markers. They basically tell us, hey, this person follows the rules, they have desirable character traits. So what do these checkmarks actually look like in the real world? Like a university degree that signals intelligence, discipline, the ability to navigate complex systems. A wedding ring that signals emotional maturity, stability, maybe the capacity for deep partnership. But children, man, children are the ultimate proxy virtue. There is this crimson thread connecting all these milestones, sure, but holding a child's hand powerfully broadcasts to the room. I am a nurturer, I put someone else's needs first, I am trusted by a small, vulnerable human. It just immediately grants this massive baseline of respect. But there's a flip side. Section 2, the manipulator's perfect camouflage. Yeah, here is where things take a pretty dark turn. I see Hakeem getting a little wide-eyed and worried over there, and honestly, for good reason. Manipulators actually weaponize these exact shortcuts. The very efficiency that makes these proxy virtues so useful for society, that's exactly what makes them the perfect camouflage for dark personalities. Narcissists, psychopaths, abusers, they don't value the actual substance of a marriage or parenthood. They don't care about real love or mutual growth. But man, they absolutely understand the symbolic value. The public symbol is the devoted parent, the trophy spouse. But the dark intent is that they acquire these families literally just as accessories. A psychopath might start a family solely to create a facade of stability. It makes it incredibly easy to exploit business partners or just conceal their true nature under this cloak of total normalcy. Which leads us right into Section 3, the ultimate public shield. Because these proxy virtues, they aren't just for show. They act as a highly effective, deeply sinister defense mechanism. Just let this thought sink in for a second. He can't be a monster. He's a devoted father. Or she couldn't be manipulative. Look at her beautiful family and her PhD. The proxy virtue becomes this absolute, impenetrable shield against any accusations. Society sees the checkmark and just categorically refuses to believe the reality. So the really crucial point here is this agonizing reality. When a victim finally gathers the immense courage to speak out, they are almost universally met with total disbelief. And why? Because the abuser's public persona, which is built meticulously on these respected proxies, is just way too convincing. It is wildly frustrating. The abuser will even use their picture-perfect family as a prop to gaslight everyone, saying stuff like, "Why would I risk my perfect family? They must be the unstable one." And society, relying on its lazy shortcuts, actually believes the abuser. Let's move to Section 4, the hidden private toll. We really have to take a solemn moment here to acknowledge the reality of what happens when that public shield does its job a little too well. The damage is completely contained within the private sphere. The spouse and the children basically become the sole, isolated witnesses to the controlling behavior, the sudden rages, the devastating emotional neglect. They are essentially trapped in a nightmare, while the outside world remains blissfully, willfully unaware. They just see a responsible family man or a caring, devoted mother waving from the driveway. The isolation of the victim in this scenario is absolute.
Honestly, folks, this is a collective societal failure. By outsourcing our moral judgment to proxies, we just stop looking deeper. We end up rewarding the mere appearance of virtue rather than the actual, messy, daily practice of it. And in doing so, we've created this massive, dangerous loophole in our social defense system. We're making it terrifyingly easy for predators to blend right in.
But there is a way forward. Section 5, reading real human character. Okay, we aren't going to stay in the dark here. Hakeem, you can relax your posture, buddy. Maybe adjust that mustard yellow scarf of yours. We're moving on to solutions. Because the alternative isn't to just become deeply cynical and assume every married person with a kid is some secret monster. No, it's to cultivate a much more nuanced way of evaluating character. So here is a highly actionable 4-step toolkit to evaluate true character so you can stop falling for manipulators' camouflage. 1. Look for consistency. 2. Prioritize actions over symbols. 3. Value vulnerability and accountability. And 4. Listen to intuition and testimonials.
Let's actually break down step 2, because this one is huge. Prioritizing actions over symbols. A wedding ring? That is just a piece of metal, right? It's a symbol. But the way someone speaks about their partner behind their back, or the actual effort they put into the relationship when things get really hard, those are actions. Having a child is a symbol, but demonstrating patience, attentiveness, and unconditional support for that child's unique personality, those are the real actions that actually define character.
And then there's step 3. You got to ask yourself this question about the people in your life. How do they handle being wrong? A person of genuinely good character can absolutely admit fault. They can sit in the discomfort of being wrong and take real responsibility. But a dark personality, they rarely, if ever, can do that. They will deflect, blame shift, and literally rewrite history before they ever say a genuine "I'm sorry." Finally, step 4. We have got to look past the public proxy and listen to the testimonials of those closest to the person. If someone's spouse or child seems chronically unhappy, highly anxious, like they're constantly walking on eggshells, or just somehow diminished in their presence, you need to pay deep attention to that. Your intuition is picking up on something real. The people living behind closed doors, they hold the actual data. I want to leave you with this thought, just as advice between close friends. A truly healthy society would learn to look past the certificate and read the character. It definitely takes more effort, yes. It requires us to slow down, observe, and frankly ask harder questions. But it is literally the only way to protect ourselves and others. So, here is a lingering question for you to ponder tonight. Who are you trusting right now just because they have a societal blue checkmark? Maybe take a closer look. Thank you so much for joining Hakeem and me for this explainer on the For the Wise podcast. If this deep dive sparks something for you, please remember to like, comment with your thoughts, share it around, and subscribe for more. Until next time, stay curious, stay observant, and take care of yourselves out there. Good night.